It was supposed to be perfect, not just for me, for her, my mother. She stood near the front row, dressed more elegantly than I had ever seen her. Not expensive, she never cared about that, but graceful, proud, and quietly happy. That was all I wanted. After everything she had sacrificed for me, this day wasn't just a wedding. It was a thank you. The venue was flawless. Soft white lights, floral arrangements placed with precision. Guests dressed in tailored suits and flowing gowns, laughter echoing through the hall like everything had aligned exactly the way it should. And for a while, it had. I stood at the center of it all, greeting guests, smiling, playing the role everyone expected. But my attention kept drifting back to her, because even in a room full of people, she was the only one who mattered. "You did good," she said when I walked over, her voice soft but full of pride. "I learned from you," I replied. She smiled, and for a second, everything felt complete. Then, the shift. It didn't come loudly. It never does. It started with a voice. Sharp, careless, unnecessary. I didn't realize this was a budget wedding. The words cut through the room just enough to be heard. Not by everyone, but by the people who mattered. My mother's smile faltered, just slightly, but I saw it. Of course I did, because I was watching her. A few guests turned. Some laughed. Quietly. The kind of laugh that pretends it's harmless. It isn't. I turned slowly. My sister-in-law stood near the reception table, glass in hand, looking around like she had just said something clever. She hadn't. "You'd think with all this effort," she continued, gesturing lightly, "they could at least make it look high class." Another laugh, this time louder, because now it wasn't subtle anymore. It was directed. My mother lowered her gaze, just for a second, but that second was enough, because I had never seen that look on her face before. Not once. Not in all the years she had endured things silently, gracefully, without ever asking for anything in return. And now, on this day, in this room, someone thought they could reduce her to a comment, to a joke, to something less. I felt it immediately. Not anger. Something colder. Something clearer. The kind of feeling that doesn't explode. It decides. The room shifted slightly. Waiting. Watching. Because moments like this demand a reaction. My bride looked at me, concerned, unsure, because she felt it too. Everyone did. "What?" my sister-in-law added, raising an eyebrow. "I'm just being honest." Honest. That word, always used by people who hide cruelty behind it. I didn't respond immediately, because reacting would have made it about her. And it wasn't. It was about my mother. I walked toward her instead, slowly, calmly, and stood beside her. She didn't look at me. Not yet, because she didn't want to make it worse. That's who she was. Always protecting others. Even when she was the one being hurt, I placed my hand gently over hers. Steady, reassuring, because she needed that. Not words. Presence. "I'm fine," she whispered. She wasn't, and we both knew it. I nodded once, then turned, and that's when everything changed. I didn't raise my voice. That was the first thing everyone noticed, because moments like this, people expect noise, anger, a scene. I gave them none of that. Instead, I stepped forward, past the tables, past the guests, until I was standing in the center of the room. The music was still playing, soft, elegant, like nothing had happened. I looked at the band and made a small gesture. That was enough. The music stopped, not gradually, instantly. And just like that, the room fell silent, completely, because silence forces attention. Every conversation ended. Every movement slowed. Every eye turned toward me. My sister-in-law laughed lightly. You're being dramatic, she said. Maybe, but drama only exists when people don't understand what's coming next. I didn't look at her. Not yet, because this wasn't about giving her attention. It was about control. I reached for the microphone, lifted it slowly. The weight of it felt different than I expected. Not heavy, just final. I want to say something, I said. My voice didn't echo. It carried, naturally, because the room was already listening. This wedding, I continued, was meant to be a celebration, a pause, because timing still mattered. For family, another pause, longer, because now the word meant something different, and respect. The room didn't move, didn't breathe, because now they understood. Something was wrong. I turned slightly, looked directly at my sister-in-law. For the first time, you decided to turn it into something else, I said.
Calm,
Flat.
clear.
She rolled her eyes, trying to regain control. You're overreacting, she replied. But her voice didn't match her confidence, because now she wasn't sure. No, I said. One word. Enough. Because this wasn't a reaction. It was a decision. You insulted my mother, I continued. The words landed heavier than anything else I had said, because now there was no hiding it, no softening it, no pretending it was a joke. A few guests shifted uncomfortably, because now they were part of it. You reduced her to something small, I added. Another pause, because now they remembered the words, the laughter, the moment, and that ends here. Silence, because no one expected that. Not fully, not like this. My bride stepped closer. Wait, she whispered. Concern,
Fear.
uncertainty, because she knew what this meant. I looked at her, softly, just for a second. I'm not ending us, I said quietly. I'm ending this. And she understood. Not everything, but enough. I turned back to the room. This event is over, I said.
No anger.
No volume, just final. The words didn't echo. They settled, like something that couldn't be undone. My sister-in-law laughed again, louder this time. You're not serious, she said. But no one joined her, because now they were watching me, not her. I am, I replied. And that ended it, because now there was no version of this where it continued. The staff hesitated, waiting, because they didn't know who to follow. That's when I made the second move. The vendors have already been notified, I said. Another pause, because now it was real. The contracts were under my name. Silence. Heavier this time, because now they understood. This wasn't emotion. This was control. The event ends now. And just like that, it did. Lights dimmed slightly. Staff moved. Not quickly, not chaotically, but decisively. Because when authority speaks, things change. Guests began to stand, confused, whispering, because they had never seen something like this before. A perfect night, ending mid-breath. My sister-in-law stepped forward. You can't do this, she said. But her voice had changed. Less sharp, less certain. I already did, I replied. And that was enough, because now there was nothing left to argue, nothing left to fix, nothing left to control. I walked back to my mother. She looked at me this time, really looked, not with worry, not with fear, with understanding. You didn't have to, she said softly. I did, I replied, because some things you don't let pass. Not on a day like that. Not to someone like her. I took her hand and let her out. Not rushed. Not dramatic. Just done. Behind us. The music didn't return. The laughter didn't restart. The wedding never continued, and that's how it ended. Not with celebration, not with chaos, but with one decision. Because sometimes respect matters more than the moment.